Welcome to Java. Whether this is your first time coding or you've never touched a computer before, I'm going to teach you the ins and outs of this language across this tutorial series. Welcome to Top Spec, I'm Aaron. Now before you can actually start coding, you're going to need software that will allow the computer to interpret your code into an actual runnable program. This type of program is called an IDE, or Integrated Development Environment. While there are many IDEs available for download, some free and some paid of course, for the purposes of this tutorial we will be using a program called Eclipse. Eclipse is a multi-platform free IDE that is frequently updated, and it is one of the most commonly used IDEs amongst various levels of programmers. However, before we install Eclipse, we need to download the Java Development Kit, or JDK. This will install necessary libraries that Eclipse will need to work properly to code in Java. So to get started, check the description and click the first link. This will take you to a page with literally 52 different download links, so let me clear up what you have to install here. Find the first header that begins with Java SE Development Kit and click Accept License Agreement. Next, if you're installing this for a Mac, like the screen recording you're seeing right now, click the link labeled Mac OS. If you're installing this for Windows, click the link labeled Windows x64. Depending on your internet speed, this can take some time to download, but as soon as it finishes, just run the file and install it like you would any other program on your computer. Now we can install Eclipse. There are countless versions of Eclipse, but for the purposes of this video, we will be downloading Eclipse Oxygen. As of the time of this upload, Oxygen is the latest version, but you should download whatever is newest for your point in time. So now head over to eclipse.org or click the second link in the description. Then click Download in the upper right hand corner, and then click Download 64-bit and click on the final download link. Speaking of which, why can't the first download link just be the actual download? Anyways, you can now run the installed file. A prompt will appear that will ask which version of Eclipse you want to install, and you should select Eclipse IDE for Java developers. From here you can change the install directory to whatever you please and then finally install it. This will take a minute, so be patient. Once it finishes, click launch and then you're ready to go. Before Eclipse fully loads, it will ask you for a Workspace Directory. This directory will be where Eclipse stores and reads all of your projects, so set it somewhere with that in mind. Then click launch again. Once Eclipse loads, you'll be greeted with the welcome screen. For now, we'll just close out of this by clicking the X next to the welcome tab at the top. You should now see your package explorer on the left. If you don't, go to Window, Show View, and then click Package Explorer. Remember this in case you ever accidentally close out of the Package Explorer. This area will essentially be your system of organization for all of the files you'll be creating and utilizing in your programs. We're now going to create our first Java project. Go to File, New, then hit Java Project. You can now give your project a name. If you're going to be making a larger project, you might give it the name of the game or program, but we'll just call ours My First Program. Notice that there are no spaces between the words and every word in the sequence begins with a capital letter. This type of formatting is referred to as Camelcase. While it won't always cause issues in your program if you don't follow it, it's a standard in the programming world, and if other people are going to be reading your programs and trying to understand them, it makes everything easier. Anyhow, make sure your execution environment is set to the version of Java that you installed, for example, Java SE 1.8. We can now click the Finish button and our project will appear in the aforementioned Project Explorer. However, before we can begin programming, we need to create a class in our project. Classes are the blueprints of coding in Java, and any language for that matter, and larger projects can have tens if not hundreds of classes to make the program function. Right-click on your project file in the Package Explorer, then hit New, then Class. Make sure the source folder has your package name followed by \src to check that the directory that you are creating in the class is where you want it to be. Now we need to give the class a name, and classes, like project names, should again be named using Camelcase. I'm just going to name my class Main, since it will be the main class in our test program. Again, hit Finish. Now you should be able to see inside your class. If not, double-click your class from the Package Explorer. Click between the curly braces. This is the area where you can add code to your program. However, before we can do that, we need to create a main method. A main method is where your program will start once executed. To create your main method, type public static void main, followed by 2 parentheses with string with a capital S, and 2 brackets space args on the inside. Make sure you type exactly as I do because capitalization and spelling is incredibly important, and I will further explain certain rules in the future. Also add a set of curly brackets at the end of your main method. In Java, curly brackets act like parentheses do in math. In other words, what is between a set of curly brackets is treated separately from everything outside of it. That might not make sense now, but that's okay because it will in later videos. For the purposes of this tutorial, we're just going to print a line to the screen because this setup took a while, but by the next tutorial we'll be diving into deeper concepts. Within the 2 curly brackets following your main method, type system.out.println, followed by another set of parentheses and a semicolon. The parentheses will contain the arguments such as the text we'll be printing out today, and the semicolon ends the statement and is required. Between the parentheses, add a set of quotes and write whatever you want between them. If anything thus far that you've written has been underlined in red or you've been getting errors, you've likely made a mistake with your syntax. Thankfully, Eclipse is a very powerful IDE since it gives you live feedback while you're coding. This means that if you make a mistake, it will immediately tell you what is wrong by hovering over the underlined portions of code. This feature makes excellent use of your time since Eclipse doesn't force you to try and run your program every time you want to see if your code is free of errors. If you have any issues on what we've worked on today, I've left a Hastebin link in the description and you can compare your code to the code that I wrote in this video. Congratulations, you've just finished your first program. Make sure to save it by hitting Ctrl or Command S depending on if you're Mac or PC, but that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I put a lot of work in this video, so if you subscribed or left a like, it would be really appreciated. And if you want to be notified for the next tutorial, make sure to turn notifications on.